I'm a massive guy. And so when you look at me, I'm just a big dude. But it doesn't matter what's happening in your life, how big you are, how strong you are. When you wear yourself down through stress, it takes its toll on the body.
Today we have Adam Ouellette, trainer, teacher, and speaker. Welcome, Adam.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks for being here. I'm interested. Tell us a bit about your business.
Well, I was a lawyer in Fort Lauderdale, Miami area for a long time, and I was dealing with tremendous amounts of stress, right? And as a result of that stress, I started to have some breakdown in my adrenal gland, and I started having panic attacks. And it was funny, Ryan, I was watching some videos on I don't know, it was YouTube or Yahoo, and here was this massive football player who's having panic attacks. He's 6'5", 350 pounds. Well, I'm 6'9", and I can't translate that into the metric system, but we can put that in the notes if you want. But I'm a massive guy, and so when you look at me, I'm just a big dude. But it doesn't matter what's happening in your life, how big you are, how strong you are. When you wear yourself down through stress, it takes its toll on the body. And so I was doing Tai Chi, and I was meditating, and I was doing yoga. Here this big guy's doing yoga. I remember my sister and her boyfriend walked in my house one day, and I was doing yoga, and they just had a good laugh at it, because to see someone my size doing yoga is pretty funny. But I needed something.
That's great.
Yeah. I needed something to help me to figure out how to deal with the stress. We talk about stress management quite a bit. And to me, all the stuff I was learning was dealing with stress after the fact. So I wanted to figure out some way of dealing with stress before I had it. And I picked up a book, and it was Heart Math Solution, about 18 years ago. And I was having panic attacks, as I was saying. And the doctors were trying to put me on Xanax and stuff. I said, no, I don't want to go on any drugs. And so I found Heart Math, and I started practicing some of the basic techniques from the book. And it literally, I would say, saved my life. I was heading for a nervous breakdown or a heart attack or something to that effect. And those techniques helped me start to look at stress in a different way. And so 4 or 5 years ago, when they started to certify people to train with this Heart Math, I jumped on board, because I wanted to be able to bring this out to the business community and to law firms, right? I mean, lawyers are under tremendous amounts of stress, crazy amounts of stress. And I wanted to be able to share these methods that really helped me so much many, many years ago.
Wow. So can you give us a quick rundown of how it works?
Sure. So one of the reasons I'm out teaching it now is because of the pandemic. Ryan and I were just talking about the craziness happening in Australia, and there's craziness happening in the United States. I mean, there's trials going on now for young kids carrying guns, shooting people, and it's just unreal what's going on. There's this virus that's killing people, right? We've got all this derision about masks and vaccines and all of that. And so Heart Math is 30 years old, and it's got 400 peer-reviewed studies. And one of the reasons I was drawn to it was because it's a science-backed system. It isn't, some of the mythical stuff that's out there. What do you want to call it? It's not the woo-woo stuff, right? I wanted something that was science-based. Not that I'm a scientist, but lawyers are more left brain. And so when I thought about teaching this to small businesses and medium-sized businesses and lawyers, they're going to connect more with that science base. So there's over 400 studies that have been published, and it's peer-reviewed science. So ultimately, what we're doing with Heart Math is we're connecting the power of the heart. The heart has upwards of 40,000 neural cells, brain cells. Most people don't know this stuff, but the heart has its own energy center. They can measure the energy coming off the heart, and they can measure it up to 6 feet away from the body. It's got this toroidal field, which is kind of a circular field. And the scientists will say, we can only measure 6 feet out. And so ultimately, it could be much greater than that. But the heart has its own energy center. And so when you step back and you're able to connect the heart and the brain, you begin to see changes in the body, like no other work I've ever studied. And I've been a seeker, student of life. I always wanted to learn, like you, Ryan. I wanted to learn how to be the best business person I could be, the lawyer, person, all of those things. And so when all this stress started to hit me early on, and I started using these techniques, I started realizing there's real power in connecting the brain and the heart together. And so what starts to happen is you start to build resilience. And so the definition of resilience for HeartMath is the capacity to prepare for, recover, and to adapt in the face of stress, challenges and adversity. And so as a result of that, what we're doing is we're slowing down the heart rhythms, and we're connecting the brain and the mind, or the brain and the heart, and we're able to see a nice flow in the heart rhythms instead of this jagged craziness that we normally see for people that don't have these kinds of techniques. So we're moving to a place of what they call coherence. And coherence is smooth heart rates and rhythms, and it's an optimal state in which the heart, mind, and emotions are aligned and in sync. Very, very powerful
amazing
stuff. Oh, it's amazing.
That's great. And so where do you now feel that you can bring the most value to the marketplace, Adam?
Well, for me, I started with lawyers, and I'm teaching these tactics to lawyers, but there's so much pain in the world going on. I mean, there's people all over this country, in the United States, resigning from their jobs. They're calling it the Great Resignation.
I've seen
There's
that, yeah.
so much unhappiness because COVID has brought us to our knees. And one of the reasons for that is that people are looking at their lives and saying, this job isn't aligned with what I want to do in the world, or this job has too much stress. And they're having a struggle, as most lawyers do, but this is regular people in careers and professions, where they're struggling to deal with everything that's being placed on them. And as a result of that, there's people that are just difficult. It's difficult to get up in the morning for, depression and all of this. And so what I would love to do is to connect HeartMath, which has been taught to all 4 branches of the U.S. military, NASA, lots of universities and hospitals. Millions of people all over the world use HeartMath. But one of the things that they've done with HeartMath is trained ER doctors and nurses with it. First responders, they need to train a lot more police with it because police are, kind of trigger happy at this point, sadly. Fire departments, EMTs, these people have HeartMath. A lot of hospitals around the world are using HeartMath because what it's done for everybody that works in the hospitals. But what I'd like to do is help bring this out to businesses, law firms, because of this unrest, because of the challenges happening right now in the world. People need these kinds of techniques to be able to step back from stress. Part of the challenge that I had was, as I said before, I was dealing with stress after the fact. What if we could deal with stress beforehand and be able to connect that heart space with the mind, quiet the body down, quiet the mind down, and look at stress in a different way, which is basically look at it from a place of not dealing with it after the fact, but let's stop it before it starts. Let's set ourselves up to be coherent and resilient and be in a place of balanced mind and body all day, every day.
Yeah, that aligns really well with any mindset coaching and that kind of thing, where it's about taking control of your state. Like I think even Tony Robbins, who's like the biggest celebrity coach in the world, speaks about that. Taking control of your state. Is that sort of is that an underlying premise?
This takes it to a new level. I did all of Tony Robbins' work. Every single one of his workshops back when I was in my 20s and early 30s. My mother was a big fan. She, I was in college, and she sent me the tapes. So I'm dating myself. I'm 50 years old this year. But she sent me the Tony Robbins Personal Power tapes, the ones that he used to sell on the infomercial. Back in 1991, she sent me these tapes. So I started listening to them, went to my first workshop in my late 20s. This takes it to a new level. He talks about changing your state, but that's like force. I'm talking power from this instance. There's a really great book that changed my life many years ago by Dr. David Hawkins. It's called Power versus Force. And a lot of the stuff I was learning was all about forcing your mindset, forcing your body to be in a certain way. This takes it into a place where it's more of a power situation. And what we teach in heart math, what I teach in my training is if you can connect up that heart and mind and you're more resilient, you keep your battery charged all day long because you start to look at situations differently and they don't impact you as much because you're able to then connect into that heart space in 2 seconds. That's what I'm able to do. We just got a brand new dog who was tied up where he used to live for a year. The dog is crazy.
Wow.
I'm able to connect into my heart space in a few seconds and calm myself down to where 15 years ago, I would have been screaming at him, yelling, Now I'm able to take a step back, connect with that really powerful place in my heart, and live from a different angle, from a different perspective. And that's the key. It's the key for me. And so heart math, beautiful, beautiful stuff.
What are some of the results that you've seen or read about or been produced by the concept?
There's all kinds of these. There's 400 studies, and so if you look at the studies that they've done, and I've got more stuff we can put a link to on my website that had that 40% reduction in stress for a lot of these people in hospitals, better sleep, more resiliency, which is, you don't end the day exhausted. So there's actual percentages of numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but there's ridiculous results. One of the results that comes to mind for businesses is that businesses' ROI on this training, as the years go, grows. And so $600 in savings to most businesses, around $585, I think the number was, each team member, each employee that does this training, less sick days, less medical costs, more time at work, more productivity. So that's just medical costs and sick days lost. We're not talking gains in productivity that happen once people start to realize that they don't have to be stressed all day long and have this undercurrent of anxiety. I mean, that's what COVID's doing for us. There's this undercurrent of anxiety that's in us. Are we working from home still? Are we going back to the office? I mean, it's a crazy world out there, and there's more pressure to make money because we've got inflation happening all over the world. So businesses are putting more stress on people that work for them to get more done in less time.
Mm. And how long does it take? Like overall, is it a fast process to learn? Is it like a fast process to implement? You mentioned that you can drop into your like a really solid state, for lack of a better word, within a couple of seconds.
It's 4 to 5 hours of training, depending on what the business wants. I mean, I do an hour intro that we can, that I can do for businesses to just get people started with the first couple techniques. There's 6 total techniques.
It's nothing.
No, it's not. It's nothing. But the beauty of it is in the practice of it, right? And one of the interesting things that Heart Math has done is they have these things that machines that used to be like separate machines that you would put on your ear. Now there's a cord, you plug it into your iPhone or it's a Bluetooth. They have either one. And it will actually tell you if your heart rate is in a coherent state. And so I've seen these live presentations with this. I've done live presentations online to where I've sat with it, and quick coherence method is basically just dropping into your heart and breathing into your heart, and you can literally feel your heart rate slow down. But if you practice with it, for me, it's a couple seconds. Sometimes for people that are just learning it, it will take them a few minutes, but everything is practice, right? I mean, I played college basketball. If you don't practice, you're not going to get it. You're not going to be good. So usually it will take about 2 to 3 months of practice, 10 minutes a day. You can get one of these heart math sensors, and it will, be red if you're not coherent. It's incoherent, it's called. Blue, you're getting close, you're right there, and then green. And you just practice with it to where it becomes habitual. You're just breathing, and it's a present moment type of thing where I teach present moment in some of my courses for attorneys and small businesses. The more you can get present and drop down into that heart space where the power really resides, those 40,000 neural cells, it's got its own brain, the heart brain they call it. you stop acting from fear. You move away from fear-based thoughts into more appreciation, joy, and those are the thoughts that we really don't have a lot of, especially nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. Adam, thank you so much. That's really great. And just to finish off, I'd love to know who can you best help, and if they want to get in touch, how can they reach out?
Well, businesses of any kind, right? I mean, I've worked with law firms and lots of my consulting clients, but small businesses need this now too. That's why I've reached out to you to be on your podcast to introduce this to anybody out there that is really looking to leverage the power of the heart. So they can reach out to me. There's a link on my website that we'll put in the show notes that I think I've sent to you, Ryan, in the email. They can book a free consultation call. We'll run through the numbers and take a look at exactly what's included in the training. But anybody that wants to assist their team and themselves to have energy at the end of the day, not deal with the stress-related illnesses and all the like, and to move into a more powerful state so that you can get more done and go home feeling good, not looking at work like, oh my God, I got to go back to work tomorrow. I'm stressed out as it is enough. So
It sounds absolutely amazing. Adam, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate the value and the introduction of heart math.
well, thank you for inviting me, Ryan. I appreciate it. And thanks for all you do with what you're doing for your community.
Thanks, Adam.
All right.